Fired up for this one. It's Ari Meirov of My Sports Update. Check out his YouTube page. Fantastic. And, of course, one of our top sources on social media. He dropped his coaching predictions recently. Had a bunch of good insight pertaining to the Arizona Cardinals. Ari, my guy, how we living?
I'm doing good, guys. Great to be back on here. And like I've told you guys many times before, enjoy your coverage. You guys do outstanding work covering this team.
We really appreciate that, Ari, and I absolutely likewise. We really did enjoy the breakdown yesterday. And you mentioned two names that I think are intriguing to the Cardinals fan base. But today, Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile, he was added to the mix as a second interview. What was your reaction to that news?
I love it. I love it. I mean, there are two people. So I track the coaching stuff year round. I mean, it's a ongoing process within the league with agents who represent these guys, and obviously coaches and executives in each and every building. The amount of people who have told me, like, hey, keep an eye on those two Jaguar coordinators, which was Grant Udinsky, the OC, and then Anthony Campanile, the DC. It was like gaining steam as the year went on. And of course, we saw the great run that they went on, winning all those games in a row, almost beating the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. I expected at least some teams to take a peek at these guys, and we're seeing both of that happen here. And Campanile, he gives off the type of vibes of a little bit of a Mike Vrabel, a little bit of a Robert Saleh, a mix of both. And both those guys are very different, but a mix of both. He's an energy guy, holds people accountable, and did unbelievable work with that Jaguars defense. And the reason I bring all this up is the personnel that he had this year in Jacksonville was very similar to the personnel they had the year before when they were awful, like horrible. So what he was able to do with a player like Devin Lloyd, who was first team All-Pro this year, when the previous year their fans were calling him a bust, like he clearly is very, very big when it comes to all of that. Gives off a little bit of Jeff Hafley also, who was hired in Miami. So I like him. The question really becomes, do you really want to go on the defensive side of the ball again? What type of a staff could he put together, and those type of things? So those are the questions that some teams will probably have. Arizona just went from a defensive-minded head coach. Do you want to go back to the defensive mind of a head coach? So those are questions you got to answer over here. But if you're looking for the leader of men type, which is what Tennessee was looking for example, he's right up there with the Robert Salehs and those type of guys.
And I think that's what the Cardinals want. Ari, we are in lockstep agreement. I heard your show the other day. The Cardinals didn't want to fire Jonathan Gannon. Michael Bidwell loved him. Monty Ossenford loves him. It was a perfect storm. I think if he had just won like one of those games down the stretch, they would have brought him back. I just think the optics of losing 14 of 15, and you had fan outrage and season ticket cancellations, like they did what they thought they had to do, which is why I think it's humorous when we see people. This is my theory on Vance Joseph. You tell me if I'm in the wrong here. I believe that the people in Denver are hearing from Vance's people like, hey, he's a strong candidate there. We're going to get his name out into the ether. He's interviewed for a bunch of jobs remotely. Bidwell knows him, so it's a logical fitting of a narrative. You can make an argument with this fan base that Vance Joseph would be a worse option than keeping Jonathan Gannon. I just, from an optics standpoint, do not think it's something the Cardinals will consider.
Maybe you wouldn't be surprised with this, but the amount of times that optics comes into play for organizations, it's actually quite incredible. I mean, I spoke about this on the show that you guys referenced. The Titans' decision was down to Matt Nagy and Robert Saleh. For the last week, it's been Matt Nagy all the way. And it was not just Matt Nagy. I'll go behind the curtain now. It was Matt Nagy, head coach, Brian Daboll, OC, Jonathan Gannon, DC. That was the staff they had prepared to do. Titans fans have been outraged by the idea of Matt Nagy. And Robert Saleh's first interview with the team was that day. He did not have a previous Zoom. So he was in the building for 4 or 5 hours, and that was enough for whatever decision they had on Matt Nagy to flip it. I think that was an optics thing. I think the owner, who is very aware of PR, and the fact that they've had Vrabel in, out, John Robinson in, out, Rand Carthon in, out, Brian Callahan in, out, and we have a number 1 overall pick quarterback in a new stadium next year, we cannot take another PR loss. So hiring Robert Saleh is a PR win. How is that going to translate on the field? I don't know. But Mike Borgonzi, I think he wanted Matt Nagy from the start. I think Matt Nagy has learned from his first experience in Chicago. Those two guys are very close, and he had a really good staff ready to go. And for whatever reason, on the one day that Robert Saleh came in, that decision flipped. Was it the owner? Was it the president? I think it was just optic based. So that could definitely be going on in Arizona as well. And like you said, there's fans who are upset. There's an owner who definitely hears the fans. He hears all these different media people talking about what they should do. If they don't, and I think Vance is a really good coach, by the way. I mean, I don't think he's like some terrible whatever, but I get the idea of like, hey, this guy's not energizing the fan base. He's not bringing what we want. We don't want that guy. I could see that definitely playing a role. And if ownership believes that is not the right hire for what the fans want, considering their records the last few years, I think you got to listen to the fans a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all agree as far as the Vance, he's a good coach, no doubt about it. I mean, as far as this fan base seeking a fresh direction, that is something that he does not give the Cardinals if he was hired as head coach. And Ari, I mean, I think it would be kind of funny, even though it's not happening now, that Jonathan Gannon would have played some role in the Cardinals fan base landing the coach that they wanted in Saleh. That would have been a weird, kind of ironic situation if that played. But, you know, JG still has a bunch of options out there on the DC market, so it didn't come to fruition in Saleh as the next Titans head coach. But as you see this Cardinals job, you had a great interview before the season began with Monty Ossenfort, and you were right there with us and a lot of other people that were just in complete disbelief watching this team and how the season played out. I know the optics of the team right now are about as low as they get, but whoever does get this job, it really doesn't feel like the cupboard is completely barren like it was in 2023.
I agree. I mean, before, like, it sounds foolish now, but before the season, I was so high on this team. My coach of the year was Jonathan Gannon. I mean, I look horrible right now, right? But I was so high on this roster. I was like, this is the third year. The first 2 years of the rebuild have been great. They went aggressive in free agency, and this is the time. And it didn't work out. I get it. And it was a rough end to the year with the 14 losses in 15 games, a ridiculous amount of injuries. But I still think there's a lot of building blocks here. I think the biggest mountain to climb is not the roster per se, it's more the division. That's the problem. When you have to go through the Rams and the Seahawks and the 49ers, which two of those teams are the final two and three of the four were the final four. I mean, that is the bigger mountain for me to climb. So yes, there is a lot of work of year off the roster. It does sound like Kyler Murray is more than likely gone. They're going to have to eat a significant amount of that money, whether it's a trade or release. That definitely hurts. But it does feel like when I look at just the building blocks and the pieces and the players who are here, like there are guys for a next head coach to come in and be like, okay, I could work with these guys and develop these guys and they could become real players. Like I said, what Campanile did with a former first-round pick in Devin, player who 2 years ago, his agent was trying to get him to get traded. He hated Trent Baalke. He did not want to be there anymore. They were ready to do a trade request, and they backed off because they realized the market wouldn't be great, so they wouldn't trade a former first-round pick. But all of a sudden, he's playing as a first-team All-Pro. So when I see Marvin Harrison Jr., who through 2 years has not exactly been a number 4 overall pick, but he's going to have a new coach and a new coaching staff, and next year he could become maybe second-team All-Pro. I can see that happening. So that's the thing when it comes to this roster. I'm not really too worried about. It's more about how do we beat Mike McDonald and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, and their staffs are going to go through it, right? Salah's already gone. I think we both agree Clint Kubiak's going to get a job. We assume maybe with the Raiders. I know the Cardinals have interest. We'll see. Let's talk. I want to talk about Sean McDermott here in a second, but let's talk about the Rams coordinators, specifically Mike Lafleur. Yeah. And the Cardinals have interest. It's obvious. You brought him up on your show. I just talked to somebody before we recorded this that felt like he would take the job with the Cardinals, but then there are people who feel like, would he go back to be the OC before he would take this job? What is your honest assessment? Would Mike Lafleur take this job, in your opinion?
I have a hard time seeing Mike Lafleur not taking a job just because he does a lot of work in LA, a lot of work. He doesn't call plays, that's Sean's job, but he does. He's very, very important there. And the thing about Mike that I've heard a lot, and he used to be here in New York with the Jets, is that he learned a lot from that experience with the Jets, which was, a difficult situation where they had their quarterbacks coach, John Knapp. He unfortunately passed away in a motorcycle accident, which was it was Greg Knapp, sorry, not John, but he passed away in a motorcycle accident, which took a toll on the entire organization. So he had more on his plate with a rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson, and then just the New York media market, it kind of just drains you. So he obviously was let go after, I think it was 2 years there with Robert, goes back to his buddy with Sean McVay, and it's a whole new life for him where it's like, all right, this is what I enjoy. I enjoy football again. I learned a lot from that experience. And now I'm with a coaching staff that has a bunch of really, really smart people led with Sean. And you hear all the coaches who have come off that staff, and the Liam Cohns and the Kevin O'Connells and Matt Lafleur, all the different people, they've gone on to have a lot of success as well by just seeing how Sean operates, and not just how he operates. It's more about how he's able to do the entire thing inside the building, the relationship with the GM, the relationship with the scouts, how he's able to talk to players, how he's able to get to players to the things that matter to them. Like, there's this great mic'd up video out there that came out yesterday of Sean McVay after the crazy Caleb Williams touchdown on Saturday or Sunday, and he rallies the team and is like, guys, whatever happened before, forget about that. We're going right now. We're going to win this game. And they locked in and they won the game, even after something like that crazy happening. So when you're in that building and you just see Sean day in and day out, it just feels like you're able to bring some of that to a new building. And the entire LA building, it's a positivity. It's a very positive place. It's not like, we had those years of New England with Bill Belichick where all those coaches will come out of there and they try to replicate Bill Belichick. That doesn't work anywhere. But trying to replicate Sean McVay, that has potential to work, and we've seen it work. So I do think Mike is a future head coach. You might be getting him 1 year too early, and I've said this on my show as well. There's maybe like 4 coaches in this cycle who might be 1 year away, but they're all future studs in this league. Grant Udinski, Davis Webb, Nathan Shieldhouse, Mike Lafleur. I mean, those 4. And if you get him now, maybe it might be bumpy in the beginning, but eventually these guys will figure it out, and I truly believe that. And I think Mike falls into that category.
And you think he would take the job if offered?
I mean, I do believe he would. Again, I don't know that for a fact. I just know it's one of 32, and these opportunities don't come up all the time. So I would imagine he does. He obviously interviewed both these places. I don't think, like, I know, for example, Matt Lafleur, when he was the Titans offensive coordinator, like, he took the Packers job right away. They're brothers, obviously. I know Packers and Cardinals are exactly the same thing, but it's one of 32. And the pay difference of being an offensive coordinator versus being a head coach, we could talk about pay a lot over here and how the Cardinals have done it. But regardless of that, it's still a significant jump than what you are as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, are you getting the sense that the Cardinals might break and push back on the narrative as far as that they might tighten up the purse strings when it comes to paying guys, or is it just kind of remain to be seen?
It's probably remains to be seen, and that's why I didn't want to put them into like the John Harbaugh mix and some of these other names out there who are pretty big. I'll say this much: the going rate right now for these first time head coaches, not even like the Ben Johnsons who got like a 13 and Liam Cohn who got 12, like a lot of these guys right now are getting starting at 10. So I think that's important to note over here. And listen, if you're a coach like a Mike Lafleur doesn't really have much interest elsewhere, maybe you're able to get him for 6, 7, which is where the Cardinals have kind of been around, and sometimes lower in other cases. So that's the thing about it when it comes to all of this. But if you're a coach who is not really attractive everywhere else, but this is your one shot at getting it, and I always use this example. Byron Leftwich was the Bucs OC. He had a chance to become the Jaguars head coach. Didn't want to go there because of Trent Baalke, which is understandable, but said no. And now where is he? I think he's like at Colorado in college or something. Yeah. So the chances of getting this stuff, it's regardless of what organization is, it's not an easy thing to get. So if you have one, just take it sometimes.
All right, let's talk a little Sean McDermott, because I think just going process of elimination, and maybe this works out to the Cardinals' benefit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's getting a head job this year. It looks like the Browns are going to go with Udinski or some combination of he and Schwartz, or, you look at the Raiders and they want to go young offensive guy, maybe the Ravens, but they, do you fire John Harbaugh to hire, Sean McDermott?
They're very close friends.
I just feel like Sean McDermott, it's the Cardinals or bust. It's the Cardinals or TV this year. And we've made this argument, Ari, it's like, look what happened to Mike McCarthy. He got away from the game, and now the game's gotten away from him. and he can't get a head job. So we haven't heard anything. He hasn't taken an interview anywhere. What's your assessment of Sean McDermott's market right now?
So I think it's early to know exactly where it's at. I just, I watched this Bills press conference this morning, which went for an hour, and I just feel like if you're any other team and you watch that, don't you feel like maybe we should talk to Sean because that looks like a circus right now? So, that's the only thing I would tell here. But like you said, the process of elimination does make it feel like there's no clear-cut place. But some of these teams, especially like the Ravens and Steelers right now, they're taking their time. They know they're a very attractive place. There's no reason to rush. But it doesn't hurt to interview a guy. Like I've been talking to a bunch of different, coaching agents and people involved in all this stuff. And some of them are just flabbergasted about why wouldn't they just talk to my guy? Like it doesn't do anything. So if I'm the Raiders, if I'm the Browns, who by the way are, I know they're going through a second round of year, but because Mike McDaniel dropped out yesterday, they have not complied with Rooney Rule, and Mike would have counted as one of them. So they still have to add more people to the list because of that now. So they're still very early in their search. Grant Udinski, you mentioned, it might be a favorite there and is now getting interest in Buffalo. So they might reset a little bit. So it would make sense for them to maybe look into Sean also. But if they want to keep Jim Schwartz, I don't know how Sean fits there. So there's obviously a lot of moving parts with all of this. But I just feel like some of these teams, it's like, why not interview the guy? Especially for somebody like him who has made the playoffs 8 out of 9 years and won 5 straight division titles. And clearly looking at the big picture now in Buffalo, maybe it was not necessarily all because of him. So I do think he'll probably get interviews here, but it's way too early to know exactly where this thing is going.
I mean, this as well as we do with Monty Ossenfort, the Patriot way. Like he plays things so close to the vest. Like we didn't know about the Coach Camp first interview before we found out about the second interview that's going to happen on Thursday. You get an idea of, when it comes to McDaniel, McCarthy, some of these other, candidates with experience that the Cardinals weren't tied to. Was it just a matter of they couldn't get those initial interviews with coaches of that caliber on the market?
I don't think that's the case. I mean, some of these coaches are being very, very selective, and I think that's understandable on some of them. And this is not the easiest situation to go to as well. I'm not saying they just said no to Arizona, but some of these coaches are being a little bit more selective. I think Mike McCarthy has been one of the more selective ones here over the last couple of years. But no, I don't think these guys are saying no. And the other thing here that goes on a lot is a lot of these things are not necessarily interviews, but there's a lot of phone calls going on. So like you guys saw, John Harbaugh had a phone call with the Cardinals. So it would not surprise me if some of these guys who you mentioned, whether it's their agent or them themselves, at least had a, phone call, information gathering. What are you looking for? What do you think of this place? Do you want to come down? Like that stuff is going on year round. Like it's happening all the time. It just never gets reported. Like even when Jonathan was probably in the building, I'm sure Michael Bidwell and some people in that front office were making some calls just to see what the market is going to look like. It's normal stuff that happens in the NFL that kind of just goes unreported and no one really talks about.
So you confirm what we've known and we reported that Nick Rallis is under contract and likely could stay as the Cardinals DC. So knowing that, maybe they don't have to work as quickly putting a staff together. So I'm going to put you on the spot. It's the Wednesday, January 21st. Let's fast forward to the end of next week, the week before the Super Bowl. Do the Cardinals have a head coach, and who do you think is the front runner at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know when they're going to decide on this thing. It's like you said, it has been very, very hush hush when it comes to all of this. The two names I mentioned yesterday are names that have just been floated to me, which was Mike Lafleur. And then if they ever want to go, again, somebody a little bit from that Sean McVay tree, but his defensive side, Raheem Morris was brought up, who badly wants to be a head coach. And if he doesn't get a job, there's a lot of murmurs out there. He'll just go out and do TV this year because he thinks he could be really good at that. So those are two names that were brought up to me. I don't know when they're going to decide. I don't really want to say they have a front runner here. But if they do like Mike Lafleur, for example, and the Rams make it to the Super Bowl, they anyways can hire him until February 9th, which of course is what you guys went through with Jonathan Gannon when the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. So that could be the scenario here. So it's a lot of moving parts, but I don't have a clear cut answer on that. I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's just when it comes to this stuff, there's so many things that move. And we mentioned Tennessee before. If you would have asked me that day, it was Monday or Tuesday, who they're hiring, I thought it was Nagy all the way. And that night happens and it becomes Robert Saleh. So these things, these owners, the way they think, they're built different. They're built different.
Let's make it easier, but also give our audience something that they want to hear, Ari. You might not know who the coach is going to be, but can you rule out Vance Joseph for Cardinals fans?
I really don't think I could. And I don't think I could. I think he's in play with a number of teams here. I don't think I could say no to. I don't think they've told him no, and I don't think he's told them no. I understand the fan base is a little bit frustrated by that idea, but I'm not ready to go on the record and say, yeah, it's not going to be him. So it's definitely an option, and he's an option with other teams as well, which I don't know if that makes you guys feel better or feel worse, but like he's an option for a number of teams. I mean, I know Zach Allen used to be in your building, and Zach obviously was coached by Vance in Arizona, and I was coached by him in Denver. I had him on my show. The way he talks about Vance is through the roof. And again, I understand the fan base doesn't want him, but like he is somebody who is very, very well liked. But if you're looking for something more, I guess, juicier, maybe it's not him.
Yeah, if they want a fresh start, you just can't go backwards. And Monty Ossenford doesn't have ties to him. It would feel like an ownership hire, which you don't want. You want Monty Ossenford to be able to pick his guy. You're our guy, Ari. We appreciate you. Go check him out on, of course, Twitter. You're probably following him already at My Sports Update. And, of course, the NFL Spotlight with Ari is on YouTube. Subscribe today. Ari, thank you so much, my guy.
Anytime, guys. Keep crushing it.